Gracia, yes. Let her out of the EOC. Welcome to Southwest Florida. Well, good afternoon / evening. I thank you for joining me in Cape Coral. As you see, we've got a lot of great folks with us here. I think you have pretty much the whole legislative delegation, federal representative, you got the state reps, you got city officials, probably some county I didn't see. I know we have the mayor here of Cape Coral, John Gunner. Thank you for being here. I have Dane Eagle, who's our Secretary, Department of Economic Opportunity,
Local guy.
who's from Cape Coral. And so we're going to be doing tomorrow with Jimmy Petronas some sites for insurance and for other types of relief that the state offers. Gracia and FEMA will be joining that effort, I think, either tomorrow or shortly thereafter for those disaster recovery centers. And so we appreciate all the hard work. Kevin Guthrie, Florida Department of Emergency Management. Is Melissa from Duke Energy here? I guess not. Okay. Well, she may end up coming here. So far, we've had more than 1,900 rescues, and the USAR teams with more than 1,000 personnel have gone door to door to 65 different structures to check on occupants. And those are mostly structures in the really hard-hit areas, the barrier islands and the like. Our Division of Emergency Management is continuing to bring large quantities of water, food, and other sustenance into the area to help everybody get by. You know, it was at 3 a.m. right after the storm had passed that Charlotte, Lee, and Sarasota already had the bulk commodities there waiting for them. The first pod, point of distribution for food, water. We're also distributing tarps for the roofs. Although I will tell you one thing I've noticed, the new construction in Florida seemed to have held up very well. I thought with something that was coming in at 155 miles an hour, there'd be roofs everywhere. In reality, if that was in the last 20, 25 years with those building codes, you did a good job. But nevertheless, some people have roof, so we have that, and we're happy to give that out. So the first point of distribution for those supplies, food, water, was up within 18 hours. So normally in post-disaster, it's like a 96-hour process. We have 28 different pods in affected areas across Florida. 8 of those pods are right here in Lee County. We also have had tremendous support from nonprofit organizations like Florida Baptist Disaster Relief, Red Cross, and World Central Kitchen. They are distributing hot meals, which is something that you need. The pods will give different types of non-perishable, but it's good to get hot meals, and so they're doing that. Chick-fil-A is bringing their disaster relief bus to Fort Myers tomorrow, and I know there's a lot of people that are going to want to do that. We have stationed in South Florida 1.6 million gallons of fuel. Now, I think as I was coming in, I saw some gas stations open. I saw some others that may not have had power. If they don't have the generator, some of them aren't working. Bottom line is, I think there's a lot of fuel available. I think it's more power, but to the extent there's fuel, we can run fuel out. We just ran a tank of fuel out in DeSoto County for folks who couldn't get, because some of the roads are flooded, and so they can't get to the gas station. Some of the gas stations are too small. They're not required to have generators, so they're not pumping gas. So we're able to do that, and Kevin and his team have done that very, very well. If you look, throughout Southwest Florida, most Publix and Walmarts are open. Publix was open I saw Cape Coral. We were here Friday right after the storm. It was open. The parking lot was absolutely packed. So we appreciate that. I mean, that really helps the residents be able to get what they need. Right now, statewide, 95% of customers have power. We're down to only 5% of customers without. If you think about, we've had 3 full days of restoration since the storm left Thursday evening, the state, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had part of Thursday, and then so far today, that's over 2.1 million restored. With just in a few days. And so we really appreciate those efforts that have been done. This was a storm that affected many, many counties throughout the state. You know, do you see the same damage like you see in Fort Myers Beach and some of it? No, but you saw major flooding, you saw major interruptions to critical infrastructure in those places too. So right now, we're down to really the places that have anything more than de minimis outages, by and large, are in Southwest Florida. So you have Charlotte is 58% out, Lee is 55% out, and they're the most. These rural counties are now getting back online. There's a great day today at DeSoto, Hardy, and I think you're going to see that tomorrow and the next day, and I think they're going to be back very quickly. Southern Sarasota also. Sarasota is 30% as a county, but most of those outages are in the southern part because it's still flooding there. So some of the power lines, it's messy. So you need that to go. And then there's obviously parts of Collier that still have that. But bottom line is we're looking at this was a massive effort to get the power back on across the state now. And I'm going to say something about this in a minute. Now it's time to bring all the resources to bear to help everyone here so that we can catch up in this area. We have now either deployed or are in the process of deploying 375 of these Starlink Elon Musk internet devices to support internet access in the impacted areas. And basically you have that device, the satellite has been positioned now over Southwest Florida. You get it, it goes right to your phone, right from this device. And I did a press conference in Hardy County, rural county, and we did it on Wi-Fi, on the Elon Musk Wi-Fi, and it was crystal clear. I mean, it was like almost like watching a movie, on your big screen. And so this is a really good tool. Those are at all the pods and some other places where the locals are putting them. But if you're going through a pod, you need food and water, you can then get online and you can contact different folks if you don't have connectivity. So we're here, we're happy to be here because we have a lot of really great and important announcements. First, I was here on Saturday when we were doing the first pod in Lee County, and they had people ask me, hey, what about this bridge in Pine Island? The residents want to get off because they were talking about running boats and all this stuff. And so, I went back and told the Florida Department of Transportation, what are our options, and let's move forward. And so today, more than 130 FDOT trucks deployed to begin working on the temporary bridge fix for Pine Island. And so they're going to be able to get that done relatively quickly. This is not necessarily going to be a bridge you want to go 45 miles an hour over maybe, but at least you have connectivity to the mainland. And their goal is to have it completed by the end of this week. And I told them, make sure you use the resources necessary to do it. So you're going to now be able to have those residents be able to get back to the main. They're offering evacuations for those residents, but most of them want to be on the island. They just want to be able to go back and forth. So we're going to be able to do that, and I'm happy to do that. And that's the state just doing it. I don't need anyone to give me we're going to do it, and we're happy about that. We also are going to try something similar for the causeway going to Sanibel Island. So right now, Florida Department of Transportation is putting together a plan for a temporary fix, and there is a request for bids, emergency request for bids for the work. So there's going to be somebody that's bid is accepted soon, and there's like a process where it's a competitive process. So they're going to do that, and then hopefully there'll be a plan to move forward there. I can't tell you now without seeing who it's going to be exactly how long that's going to take, but I can tell you is no one was really doing anything about it, and we are doing something about it. And so now there's going to be access to Sanibel a lot quicker than there would have had we not done this. That's obviously not going to be a permanent solution. The permanent solution of that may be a little more complicated just because the bridge is severed in more locations than Pine Island, but we know we've got to restore that. They were talking about running like ferries and stuff, and honestly, you may be able to do that, but I think this is an easier thing, and I think people need their vehicles anyways, so we're going ahead with that. So those are really, I think, positive announcements. I know there's so many other stuff going on, and they're still doing the life rescue. They're still doing food distribution. My view is you got to do all this stuff in parallel. You don't only do that and then say we'll get to the bridges in 2 months. You don't only do food and then not do electricity or some of these others. So all these things need to move in parallel, and when there's a gap, so if a local community doesn't have, then Kevin and our guys will fill that. And so with power restoration, another great announcement. If you look right now, I think FPL in Lee County is about 50% or more that they have restored. Lee County Electrical Cooperative has not gotten to that level. Obviously, most of it is out in Lee County. I don't know what the number has gone today, but I think as of this morning, it was like 3% with power, 97% without. And that, at the end of the day, this is a more difficult restoration than what was being done in other parts of Florida. So I called on the Lee County Electric Cooperative to accept mutual aid, and they want to do that, and they're working very hard, and we appreciate it. And so we reached out to the Florida Association for Electrical Co-ops to help. And so that means with what they have been providing now to Lee County, the co-op for the state of Florida, they're sending an additional 1,000 linemen down here to help with the power restoration. But that's not all. So you see what a great job these linemen have done. We had 42,000 linemen stationed throughout the state of Florida as the storm was about to hit. I was there Tuesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Wednesday, the day the storm actually hit. I'm in North Florida with all these linemen. I'm driving back to Tallahassee, and I see, I see nothing but these trucks coming into our state, and it was a really great sight to see. So they've done this in really record time if you look at the number of restorations that they've been able to do, which we're really happy about. But what I told my folks is okay, if we're at 3% here or even higher with some of the others, I'm driving in, I still see power lines down. We need more manpower. So we said, and these linemen are coming from all over the country. I mean, they're fantastic people. I met them from Texas, Alabama, all these places. And so what I've told my folks at the state EOC and what they've put out the word is, okay, you're doing a good job getting all the power back on these other counties. Don't go home yet. We want first dibs on moving you down to Southwest Florida. And the thing is, when you do this mutual aid, we ran into this with Hurricane Michael. There's all these different utilities that provide. Some of them didn't want to accept because some of the cost share, and then they're on the hook for cost. And so what I've said is, Florida has the largest budget surplus in the history of the state by far, okay? I can pick up the cost share. I just want the power back on, so we'll pay for it. That's fine. And we do have Melissa from Duke is here, president of Duke for the state of Florida. So Duke they helped get the big things on for Hardy and DeSoto today. So they've gone up dramatically. I think that's going to be done relatively soon. So Duke, FPL, all these companies, are pledging support to bring in more linemen. And I would like to see, if you live in Lee County, you can't even go out and check your mail or something without seeing a lineman somewhere. I mean, that's what I want to see, in these coming days. I think it's really important, and we need it. I mean, I think we dodged like 2 or 3 power lines down just to get here. You bring all this additional manpower, get that up, get it going. It's going to make a big difference. And the way I view it is that the time is really important. Everyone knew going into this, I think I said this in every press briefing, expect to lose power. I think Floridians understood that. I think that they understood that wasn't going to be something that was just going to be like a 12-hour deal. And in the hardest hit areas, of course, typically it takes a little longer. But man, I think people are ready to get back in the saddle. They want to bounce back from this, but this is really a critical thing. And so I'm proud to say that we're marshaling all the resources to be able to assist. No one has to accept the help, but I'll tell you, they're there, and we're paying for the share, so we'll worry about the reimbursements from the state. You don't got to worry about it here in the local level. That's something we're going to take care of. And part of the reason we're able to do this is, yes, we have the record budget surplus, but since I've been governor, I work with the legislature to establish a disaster response fund for the state of Florida. So we have $500 million budgeted for disasters, and we've spent obviously in the run-up to this because we've done such a massive mobilization, but that's why we created that for situations like this. So I'm happy that we have that, and I'm happy that we're going to do it. We also saw there was something put out that the Lee Co-op put out saying that they have the Sanibel and Pine Island, and obviously they can't get to it because the bridge isn't there. And so our view is that we want that to commence as soon as possible as well. So I have the National Guard is going to be flying electrical personnel onto both of those islands to begin surveying the substations and begin commencing repairs. Now, that may require reconstruction on those islands because the storm was very ferocious when it hit. But what I don't want to do is wait weeks for Sanibel's Bridge to be ready and then send people. We're sending them now. So they're going to be arriving by Chinook helicopter. They're going to be dropped down there, and they're going to do their work. And so we're happy about that because we understand that it's important for the islands as well to get up and running. And at least let's diagnose the extent of the reconstruction. If that's needed, then we need to get in there and know that. And right now, nothing's been done because of the lack of the transportation. Well, we're changing that. We're surmounting that with our air assets, and we're happy to do that. And, you know, I've told Kevin Guthrie, make sure that there's no deterrent for getting people down here. If people can be useful, if there's a place for them to work, we want them working in Southwest Florida, but particularly in Lee County. And he's got that message. And again, we're picking up the cost share, so don't worry about that. And so we're happy that the Lee County Electric Cooperative updated its restoration timeline. It had initially been October 23rd for all the non-Barrier Island communities. They updated that to October 8th. Obviously, with this manpower, you know, you have a chance to really make some headway. And we hope that Sanibel and Pine Island can be on some kind of a schedule once we get the folks dropped in there with the Chinooks and they can go see and survey the extent of the damage. But bottom line is, you know, we need to all work together right now, and we need to get people back up on their feet. I am really, really thrilled at the speed in which the power has been restored throughout most of the state. I mean, to have 5% without power after a storm of this magnitude came through, you know, just Wednesday afternoon, evening here, and didn't even leave the state until Thursday evening, you know, that was pre-planning, pre-staging, and really working hard to get it done. And so this is kind of the final piece to do that right here. Third announcement, we understand that part of the county is still having problems with this water main break, some of the issues with the running water. When this happened, they reached out to us to ask FEMA for support. FEMA sent the Army Corps of Engineers to go help them. You know, at the same time, you know, we understood. I mean, the Army Corps may diagnose. They may not necessarily be able to reconstruct or to patch it. And the thing is, we want to fix, and we want this to be able to go. So I asked Kevin Guthrie to mobilize additional assets to help fix some of these problems with the water mains throughout the county. And so we have now, Kevin, right now, we're there, right?
Yes, sir. We are there to bring PSI back online.
So they are on site now. We have one of the top engineering firms in the world. These are guys that went to MIT. They're there, and we basically said, you know, we want water to people's homes and businesses, and that's really what we're doing. And again, we're putting we're accepting the cost on that as the state, even though it's not a state utility or anything the state really is involved with, because we've got the resources and we have the sense of urgency. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to see good efforts. You know, the mayor, he's going to come up and talk. You know, they have water, but you have the sewage, and so they need some generators to help with some of these pump and lift stations. So we're going to be doing, I think, 100 generators, right? Yeah, so we're delivering 100 generators to the city of Cape Coral for the sewage, and they're going to be able to straighten that out. So I think that's going to be really important to be able to do. Finally, I just point out that we enacted during the legislative session, and it went into effect October 1st, a gas tax holiday for Floridians. And so 25 cents off every gallon. I think I was actually looking. I actually saw gas once the holiday went into effect in one part. I think it may have been DeSoto or Hardy. It was under $3. I haven't seen under $3 gas in what, a year and a half or almost 2 years? I mean, you go back to January 2021. 2 years. And so that's going to help provide relief. I think now, because of the gas tax holiday, I think we're in the top 10 for lowest gas prices in the country. And so in a time like this, I mean, what better time could it be to get some relief at the pump? And we're happy that that's in effect, and we hope that saves Floridians a lot of money over the coming months. So, okay, well, we have an update. We have Dane Eagle, Kevin Guthrie, Melissa from Duke will speak, and then we'll have it here from the mayor.
Well, I want want to thank the governor from the bottom of my heart, not as one of his agency heads, but as a native of Cape Coral in Southwest Florida. To see this mobilization, it is one of the fastest and largest in Florida's history, and it's thanks to this man right here. So as your friend and neighbor, as a former Southwest Floridian, I hope that you have hope and faith in what you've heard today. The governor does not take no for an answer. He charges through obstacles with the full weight of the state behind him, and you're seeing that the results and the announcements that we've made today. So that is extremely exciting. And Governor, I thank you.
Okay.
Two quick announcements on economic recovery, thanks to the governor and what he's been able to allow us to do through DEO. My job as Secretary of DEO is to help with economic recovery. We're working with businesses to make sure supplies are on the ground, businesses are open, they have what they need, working with Kevin's team for generators, things like that. Two things that you can take home with you: floridadisaster.biz, floridadisaster.biz. There you can file for disaster unemployment assistance. We know that a lot of people are without work through no fault of their own. We want to help you get through this gap. You can apply and be eligible until you can find gainful employment. Number two, businesses who are hurt. We need to know what's going on. We need to know why you're out of business, your losses, what's going on. We know why, but your situation. You can fill out the survey, the business damage assessment survey, both things, floridadisaster.biz. Please go there today. And if you don't have internet, we're going to get it up and running thanks to the governor's leadership. So thank you.
Okay. Before I bring Kevin Guthrie up, I think it's important to point out, I mentioned all the rescue missions, which is obviously, impressive, but we have more urban search and rescue teams helping mostly South Florida, but really the floods in other parts of Florida too. So really statewide than has ever been in one location since September 11th. And responding to September 11th. And so that's a massive mobilization. It's made a big difference, and it's definitely helped a lot of people. Okay, Kevin Guthrie.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis, for your leadership, and I want to thank my friend and colleague, Secretary Eagle, for all of his help, and all of the agency heads that have been helping out, CFO Petronas and the Fire Marshal's Office with the Urban Search and Rescue and fire teams. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'd be remiss if I didn't say all of these things that the governor's been announcing today come from our State Emergency Operations Center back in Tallahassee, who have been working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since Sunday, 8 days ago. They have given up their time, which that is their job, and they are grateful to do, but especially our logistics section. They are moving heaven and earth, getting generators. We're faster than counties. The counties can't keep up with us, and that's one of the things that both the governor and myself have been committed to, is being faster at what we do to make sure that Floridians can recover from disasters. Just a couple of things real quick that the governor already mentioned. We talked about the generators coming to Cape Coral. Those generators are being mobilized right now. They will be put onto trucks. They will start moving in from around the area. We have 5 logistical staging areas all around the state. Those things will be moving from as far away as North Central Florida all the way down to right here in Lee County to get the necessary generators in place to help bring this back online. Number 2, as the governor said, we've got a world-class company that is working on the the Lee County water system. They have done maintenance on that system before. They've done work on that system before, and I'm glad to say that in a county gaggle that we did earlier today, they are already starting to recharge 45 PSI to those lines. So people are already starting to come back online with water. So I'm very, very proud of that. We've still got a long ways to go, but we're well on the way of trying to achieve water restoration to those that can actually receive water, those that get power restoration to those that can receive power by next Sunday. I'm shooting for 100% by next Sunday in both power and water. Again, Governor, thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you for your support. I'm now a resident right now of Lee County for probably the next couple of weeks, so if not a little bit longer. Thank you, sir.
Okay. He hasn't been able to sleep very much, really, since last week. I mean, we were discussing this, last Thursday, more than a week ago, and doing the preparations even before this was a disturbance, and we were doing a full state of emergency so it's been pretty hectic at the EOC. But I told them, I was like, you get 8 hours of sleep as soon as Lee has the water and the power back on, and then we'll let someone else come in. So we're working on that. Okay, who else we have? Oh, Melissa from Duke. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I have the privilege of being the state president for Duke Energy Florida. 3 days after Hurricane Ian exited the state, Duke Energy has restored power to over 1 million customers. And as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, we had 4,000 customers without service.
Nice.
And it is our commitment that they will all have power by midnight tonight.
Bravo.
The only customers that may still have some challenges because they have damage to their homes or severe flooding, we think is around 200. But we're very proud of that ability to expedite restoration, and a lot of it had to do with the expectations and the work, just the partnership with the state of Florida, with the governor, and with Kevin Guthrie, so we're very grateful for that. I'd also like to share that as of last night, we had restored and energized every single transmission point of delivery in the state of Florida, including to Hardee County. And so last night, as soon as we energized those substations, the city of Wauchula and Preco Energy were able to start picking up load, providing service to their customers, helping them get their lives back in order. So very happy. Want to thank the city leaders and all of those leaders from those municipality and from the co-op and the municipality to get that done. The third thing I would say, and this is really the emphasis of the governor's message, and that is Duke Energy stands ready to release some of the resources that we have, about 2,500 to about 3,500 line personnel, damage assessment, veg management, ready to be redeployed here to Southwest Florida to help all of you be able to get back to living your lives. And this is a long process, right? So what I'll also emphasize is that Duke Energy stands by for the long term, because we are just north of you, to the east of you, across the Skyway Bridge. So as long as it takes, we will be here ready to help.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. That's great. You know, every time I would meet with any of the utilities since I've been governor, including if I talk to Melissa or any of these others, I say, okay, if we have a storm, you know, what's the plan? And they've put a lot of emphasis on this. You know, they don't really need, I mean, I know the customers get mad, but a company could just, you know, throw up their hands and say, oh, but they've all really dug in and understood that this is important. And I think that to have as many restorations as we've had in this amount of time, you know, really is a testament to that. I'd also say some of this stuff is able to be hooked up a little quicker because there's been a lot of investment in the infrastructure to make it more resilient. I know that there's been things undergrounding, but also the things above ground. So that matters, and those investments I think are paying off in terms of what we see now with the progress. And I mean, that's a massive commitment to be putting 2,500 to 3,500 personnel just in really a relatively small area where we're going, where the outages are in Lee. I mean, maybe they do Charlotte, although FPL has Charlotte, so you're really looking at Lee and maybe a little bit of Collier. And so that's unbelievable manpower. And again, we're happy to be directing that as the state, and we'll handle the reimbursements and everything on our end. Don't worry about that. But one thing I would say, speaking of reimbursements, before I bring the mayor up, because it applies to municipalities and counties, debris. You get 100% of your costs for debris removal for the first 30 days since the declaration. They approved our declaration last Saturday. So state of emergency on Friday, I guess, what was that, the 22nd or 3rd? What? 23rd, yeah. So they've done it since the 23rd, which basically means we've already chewed up a lot of that time. A lot of the localities have not contracted with people to remove debris, and you know, maybe we'll try to get more than 30, but I would not count on that. So I would just get that going. You see the debris coming in here. It costs money to get rid of that. Why would you want to have to bear that cost if FEMA has agreed to do 100% reimbursement? And again, I know there's so many other things going on, but parallel tracks, you can work on bunch, you know, keep moving together, have those folks start to do the debris, and just know that you pay them, you submit, and you'll get the reimbursement. And so I think that that's really, really significant. Okay, Mayor, come on up.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Good.
I want to thank you for coming out to our city. We really appreciate it and everything that you're doing for all the Floridians and our residents here in the city of Cape Coral. As you all know, our priority focus right now is water, sewer, and electricity. Water, we got 100% has been energized. We're working on our sewer system. As the governor mentioned earlier today, I reached out to his office and actually spoke with his wife and told him what we needed for our sewer was generators, because we have over 400 lift stations throughout our city. Now that we have water on, our lift stations are failing. As soon as I made that phone call, he was right there. He stepped up to the plate just like he has each and every time. I've had constant communication since this event, either with him or his senior staff. They've been there all the way. So thank you very much. We appreciate that, because we know we can't do it alone. We need not only state's help, but federal help. Also, I've reached out to Congressman Donalds on several occasions, and federally, they're there to do what they need to do as well. We'll get through this together. Everyone that stands behind me is a team. We all are working together for our residents to make sure that we overcome this horrible, catastrophic event. Thank you again, Governor.
Well, we take pride in getting things done, and I tell Kevin, I'm like, you just got to cut through the bureaucracy. He's done a great job doing it, but I will say, as proud of as we are of that, if you really want to get things done, enlist the First Lady in it, and she will get it done, and then some. In fact, she's spearheaded our charitable recovery efforts, relief and recovery efforts through the FloridaDisasterFund.org that people can go and donate to, and they've raised over $22 million. I actually didn't get an update today, so it's probably even higher than that, and we're happy. There's already been money dispersed to charities that are on the ground helping folks, and as much as we understand, Dane talked about our programs for small businesses and some of the other things. That's great, and I think it'll be helpful. FEMA has certain individual assistance that we've been approved for, great, but those are certain silos. There's going to be other needs, and some of these charitable groups can make a big difference in doing that. So my hat's off to First Lady for really digging in and really making a difference. Okay, any questions?
Governor, so the Democrats and the media are saying that there's been some photo ops where resources have been stopped when you're walking. Can you correct the record on that? We're just talking about
Yeah, it's a categorical lie, and the sheriff and the county said it's a lie. I don't know why we're worried about these silly issues when we've got people to help, okay? I was the first one to show up in DeSoto and help those people. They were appreciative that we were there. We weren't stopping anything. They had distributed a bunch of water and food and whatnot. There was nobody even in line at the time. So it's a total lie, and it's just dumb. But I don't have time for that. What I want to do is continue figuring out doing what we can do to help these efforts here on the ground. And I think today's announcements are really fantastic, and it'll make a very big difference for a lot of these people.
Governor, you mentioned that help is available for, I guess, LCEC. Have you heard from LCEC? Are they going to take that help, and how do you feel their response?
Yeah, no. I think they are. I think they're working really hard, but this is a unique disaster, and we have all these resources in the state. And I just think that we've got to offer everything we can. I absolutely think they are going to accept the help, and I think they want to move forward in a very rapid fashion. So I feel good about it. I feel good that we've got the 1,000 from the other co-ops that are either here or en route. And then you see the offers. That's just Duke. I mean, we've got other people in the state to be able to come down here. So I think all hands on deck. I just want Lee County to be the lineman capital of the world for the next however many days we need to do it. And if we can do that, I think people will be really happy. Yes, ma'am.
This is from Lee County. It's a little thing, but we want to tell Casey how much we love and admire her.
Oh, good. I will give it to her. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Yes, sir. I'll let Kevin handle that.
So right now, what we've done is we've got a lot of disparate data across multiple platforms. And just for example, law enforcement has missing persons reports. We have the urban search and rescue teams through CFO Petronas that have over probably nearly 50,000 waypoints by now.
Sure.
So that's on a different platform. The data that we were collecting is on a different platform. So what's happening right now is the governor has directed the Chief Information Officer, Jamie Grant, to come in and help start consolidating that data. We hope to have a better number on that, going into the next couple of days to make sure and cross-reference all of that disparate, what we call unstructured data, to start cross-referencing it from a data standpoint. What do we actually have? I cannot answer that number, but we are getting it. We're whittling it down more and more every day.
The important thing to know, I mean, they did this thing where they texted people, hey, you can muster basically to say you're okay. And, you know, not everyone wants to communicate with the government. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily, no one's under an obligation to answer any of those surveys. And so, you know, it's a mistake to conflate someone that doesn't answer a survey with like a police report that's filed on a specific individual. Hey, this person's missing, they should be here. So just keep that in mind. That's just one tool that was there. It has been convenient for what, 10, 12,000 people? Over 15,000 have used it, and great. And, you know, maybe some family were able to be kept in mind. But that is not the exhaustive way to say if you haven't mustered, ergo you're missing, because there's a lot of people that got that text message and just decided not to respond, and that is totally their right, because I know a lot of people don't necessarily want to share information with the government. So that's fine. You don't have to. It's just there. If you want to use it, you can use it.
Governor, I know there was a lot of uncertainty about the trajectory of the storm, where it was going to hit. I want to talk to you about evacuation orders.
Yeah, you know, honestly, this has been, excuse me. This has been handled ad nauseum. I know you can talk about these officials. Ask them about it. That's fine. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead, ma'am. Okay. Stop. Okay. This has been dealt with. The Lee County has explained what they did. They went through that.
Everyone knows when the dust settles, are you prepared to order a formal review into how the Lee County officials handled the evacuation orders?
Well, of course, you're going to review everything we do in these storms. I mean, that's the way it works. Part of the reason we have all these linemen and we have record power is because we've learned from Irma and some of these others, which weren't actually bad, but okay, how could we do that better? That's why we had the pods ready to go. That's why we had the search and rescue ready to go. So of course you're going to look to see, you know, all these other stuff. I just think that we have so many people that are here working hard, trying to pull themselves up. So many people we need to be helping. We should be focusing on what we can do to do good. We should be focusing on lifting people up and stop incessantly talking and trying to cast aspersions on people that were doing the best job they could with imperfect information. I'm always... I was from the Friday before the storm, I followed not just the NHC track, the Euro model, the Icon model, the GFS. Most of you probably don't even know what those are. So I followed those religiously. Overnight, all this stuff, you'd get the data, you'd go and you'd try to figure out. It was moving west and then it started coming back east. So people were doing that. And I just think it's fine to like say what you want, but it's a little rich coming from an industry that on Monday all day, they were all in Tampa Bay saying it was going to be the worst case scenario for Florida straight into Tampa Bay. That's what they were saying. Now they're turning around and wondering why people 150 or 120 miles didn't do something they were not telling people to do. There may have been people here in Southwest Florida who were watching those reports saying, well, it's going to go to Tampa, so I'm going to stand pat. I'm going to ride it out. So of course you look to see what you can do better, but I just think we need to focus on getting people where they need to be with power, with food, with all these different things, and let's spend a little more time doing that, and let's spend a little more time maybe thanking the people that are out there on the front line saving people's lives.
Amen.
All right, we'll see you guys soon. We'll be back. We'll be back with some more good stuff tomorrow.